Hello, hello, and welcome to the Connecting Point. I am Dr. Marcy, your facilitator for this discussion today. This is the place where creators connect to inspire, share their ideas and stories, to transform the world through raw and unedited talk. And audience, he's back. Yes, my homeboy is back here to close out this season, the fifth season. Ooh, that's God's number of grace.
Yes.
He is closing out this season of the Connecting Point. So I thank you. This is Mr. Larry Sheets.
Hello, everyone.
Obliging and coming in to close this out for me. And I'm excited about what you're doing and what God is doing. And so we're just going to have a good conversation today, Larry.
Let me get relaxed in because I'm all about a good conversation.
Listen. Go ahead with it. If you've been on with me for any amount of time, you know who this is. He is a master poet.
Oh,
yes.
Thank you.
You know I got the end on the arts tip. Got to.
That's right. That's right.
And so, Larry, just for the sake of the audience, let's tell a little bit about who you are, where you're from, where you are now. But I did forget to tell the connecting point. Y'all, this is my homeboy. We grew up in Athens, Georgia. Yes. And we still love Athens, Georgia, and the people in it, our families there.
Yes.
And so that's just a little bit about how we're connected for many years.
Yes.
Okay, Larry, go ahead.
So I am Larry Sheets. I am a writer by love, and I just love a poet but I am a employee of the Postal Service, been employed with the Postal Service for 23 years. And the Postal Service has moved me all over this great state of Georgia. And through a great blessing, I am now have been a year back in Statham, right outside of Athens. So I have come full circle, and now I am back home, able to take care of mom and see the things that, as we get older, our parents get older. So God has allowed me to be in a position where I can assist when she needs assistance, and the same for my wife and her mother. But just glad to be able to be back in a community where I grew up and where a lot of my friends are from high school, and where I can just reconnect at this point in my life and this point in my journey. And I have been blessed in this journey and this season to have my book published.
Yeah.
So if you check it out on Amazon, the title is I Ain't Never Been No Superhero. And it is just a collection of poetry that I've done over the years, and some of it's quite old and some of it's quite new, but it's just an introduction of who I am as a poet and how I feel about certain things and certain expectations that have been placed on us by society and some of the expectations that we place on ourselves.
Well, when you sent me the text of the book, I was at work, but I cannot tell you how happy I was because I know God said that a year ago.
Yes.
You remember?
Yes. Yes.
And listen, I had to bring you on here because people don't believe, when God says it might not happen right then, but He intends for you to work on that. And we just on here to show you the manifestations of something God said a year ago.
That's right.
I remember we were on the phone. And I said, Larry, when you gonna do a book? You gonna do a book, Larry? When you gonna do it? And you did just that.
Yep. Yes,
I know God is smiling.
Oh, yes. Yes. It was a good process. It was a learning process, but just the going into the fault of some of the work I had and finding a connecting theme is what I enjoyed about the process.
Mhm.
And it taught me things that I didn't remember about myself. And it was a journey that I enjoyed going through. I forgot some of the things that I had gone through with some of the poetry I'd written, and with some of the newer stuff. You could just see the growth from where I was to where I am. And not only where in my belief system, but just in how it affected me and how I handled it and received it. So it was just a learning experience, and not only writing it, but just putting it together was just a growing experience in itself.
Well, I'm gonna use this moment as a ministry moment. I am, because it's strange you should say what you said. Well, actually, it's not strange. It's God talking on this too. Just this morning, my children and I were in a conversation about purpose and gifts.
Mhm.
And my son said, your purpose is connected to your gift. You use your gift to travel through your purpose, and you can have more than one.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Gifts are given to you. It's like if I come and give you a envelope with money in it as a gift.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't ask for it, I gave it to you. So you can receive that gift without any repentance. If I give you a gift and I didn't ask you whether you've been on the street corner or not, whether you've been doing drugs, I didn't ask
Mm-hmm.
you any of that. I just gave you a gift.
Right.
Okay. Larry's gift is writing. My gift, I know Larry got more than one gift. The one that I see most prevalent is the writing
Mm-hmm.
and the poetry, but he has other gifts. My gift, I do a little music here or there, and I can connect people.
Mm-hmm.
But my purpose in life is something different.
Mm-hmm.
It's connected to my gifts, the many that I have. And
Right.
so I wanted to point that out so people are not confused
Right. Right.
about gift and purpose. Uh,
Right.
and I must say, when I was in college, I didn't know. I thought, am I supposed to be singing and performing? Because I was a music major.
Right.
But
Right.
I never felt totally like I fit in to the other music students. There was something about me that just didn't fit in.
Right.
Okay. It was as I went through the process that I learned why
Mm-hmm.
I did not fit in the performance track of,
Mm-hmm.
there's a performance track in college where everybody's singing in front of audiences. That wasn't me,
Right.
because the gift that I had, I could sing, but the gift was for another purpose.
Right.
I hope people are grasping what I'm saying.
Right.
And
Right.
so you, Larry, you've gone through a process.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You said you enjoyed the process. That's another thing. People don't embrace process.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Man, my children were just talking about that this morning. I know God on this conversation.
And we have to enjoy the journey. It's not
Yes.
all, it's the destination is wonderful. Oh God, the destination is wonderful. I want to have the book published. I want to get on the New York Times bestseller list by all means. But I enjoyed the journey. I enjoyed the writing. I enjoyed, looking back on it, I enjoyed the times that caused the pain for the poetry. So
Mm.
because it brought me to a place, it taught me a lesson. It took me from one level to another level. And all growth is painful. All
Say
growth
that
is
again, Larry. Say that
all
again.
growth is painful.
It's some
So
pain to it.
there's going to be pain involved if we're going to grow from one season to another season. So we have to be ready for it in acceptance of it. And a reason a lot of us can't move forward in it is because we don't want to accept the pain of it. And we have to get past that. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt, but we can grow from it. Where are you willing to go from the pain is the question that we have to ask ourselves. What are you willing to do for the pain? And a lot of times, I had to learn that all pain wasn't for me. All lessons that I learned weren't for me. Sometimes they put me in a situation where I could minister to someone else.
Right.
Absolutely. That total situation wasn't about a lesson for me, but it was something that I had in my memory bank that when someone else came along, I didn't have just sympathy, I had empathy because I went through it.
Right.
And it lessened the burden on their journey.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, like I said, I've grown in this process. And I've gotten away from saying, people find out you're a poet and they're like, you don't have anything published, you don't have anything out. You're wasting which I always hear, you're wasting your gift or you're wasting your talent. So I've gotten away from saying that I'm late with my talent. I'm on time. I'm on time with my talent.
That's
I'm
right.
on time with my talent. Even if the talent was to help someone that no one else knew about, it was in the right place at the right time for the right person. So now maybe it's time for it to get to a global so it helps more people. But at the time, that wasn't what its purpose was for.
That wasn't.
So when you can understand when you understand your gift, then you can understand your purpose. So I think a lot of us, it's like you said, you understood your gift. And once you truly understood what your gift was, you were able to understand where you could use your gift in your purpose.
In your purpose. Absolutely. And I often look at people and wonder why they're unhappy. And 9 times out of 10, if a person is constantly unhappy, they don't know the gifts they have, and they certainly don't know their purpose.
Yes.
That's the first indication of someone not knowing their purpose. Because yes, we go through things in life, we go through the bitter and the sweet, but there is joy, unspeakable joy from being in your purpose. You go through the pain, but you still got this joy about you. That's just it.
Yes.
That's how important it is to find your purpose and to operate in it. And, another thing, this is another conversation with me and my children. We talk a lot. But another thing that you have to discover as you're going through journey, you don't have to worry about your life. You know why? Because God will create circumstances, situations, and he'll put people in your path to guide you in the direction he wants you to go in. Now, the problem is some of us want to get there so fast.
Right. Our time, not God's time.
Yeah, that we don't enjoy, like you said, the process.
Yes.
There is a process. Oh my God, there's a process.
Yes.
Lately here, I've been looking at all of the things. You forget some of the things you go through, Larry. You really do. You forget them. So recently here, God has been showing me, do you realize what you came through? I helped you get through. Yeah. And it was a process, and it made me a better person. It made me a better person. And I imagine that you, looking back on your poetry, you're saying, oh my gosh, where was I right there mentally?
Yes.
Where was I when I wrote this?
Yes. What space in my life was I when I put this pen to pad that day? Where and sometimes I can really remember where I was, and I can remember the feeling that I had that day, and it's like, what? Because writing is my therapy. So when I'm at my wit's end, and I just feel like the world is standing on, knocking on the door and ready to kick the door in, I sit down and I put pen to pad, or I pull up the Word document and I start typing. And I can get those fears or anxieties, emotions, or whatever they are out. And it calms me. It calms it. And you know, I love to go out and do spoken word, but an unknown secret is I have a tiny panic attack every time before I speak. Because whenever I go out, I am exposing myself.
Yeah, you're vulnerable.
I am giving whoever I am talking to on that stage or that platform the purest form of me. Because all my poetry is true. It's a part of who I am at that moment. It's a snapshot of who I am at that time in my life. So it's me. So whenever I go and do an open mic or recite, I'm terrified because I am opening myself up to complete strangers. And it's not an act. It's not going on stage. I'm not playing a character. I'm giving them the unabashed, unashamed edition of Larry Sheets. Here I am. Are they going to love me, hate me? What is the critique that is going to be given on me? But I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Recently here, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to watch the documentary on Hulu, Tupac.
Oh, no, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you something. You know, for years, I love Tupac's music. Actually, he's a poet.
Yes,
music was under there, but he was a poet.
He's a great writer. He's a great writer.
So after watching, and they delve really deep into his persona. And I finished watching that documentary and I respected him on a whole nother level. Why? Because he knew, I think he knew who he was all along. And the way he appeared to the world was hot-headed.
Yeah.
But what it really was passion.
Right.
Okay. Passion. And he wasn't afraid of death because of his passion.
Right.
You know? And his writings, if you go back, I have recently been going back listening again. Because you know you're listening with one vein, but after you discover a person who they really were, you listen again and you get a whole different perspective. And when I started listening to his poetic voice, I realized he was just journaling the journey, the process. He was in, and I'm going to say this, and some people might not like it, but I don't care. I really don't. He was almost like a prototype of Jesus Christ. And the reason I say that is because of the sacrifice.
Right.
You know, Joshua was a prototype of Jesus Christ. So not saying he was Jesus. Let me keep the disclaimer because, you know, people make up stuff. I'm not saying that. But go watch it. Just go watch it.
I'm gonna check it out.
Exactly what I am saying. He was sent for a purpose. When the purpose was over,
it was time. It was time. It was time. And I think there's a saying that goes, you don't really know the work until you know the author.
That's right.
So you have to know, once you know the author, then you really know what the work is about. Because it's really part of the journey. The work is just documenting the journey.
And another thing, works of art, since we're talking about poetry, but works of art may not come like you want them to come.
Right.
You know, so many people judge, oh, they use profanity, or they, you know, they're doing this, they do. But the lyrics, I'm going back to Tupac. Yeah, he cursed and did all, you know. However, there was ministry even in that. When you hear people talk about him now, and how he impacted their life for the better.
Right.
Okay. Then there was ministry in this. So stop judging folk of how they express themselves.
I think one of his poems, you have to quit. What was it? What did he say? He said, stop saying how bad the rose looked because it came through the concrete, but be impressed that the rose survived and grew up through the concrete. That's so right. We have to get past all of the other stuff, get down to the root of it. Look, listen to the lyrics, listen to the word, listen to the message. Peel everything else back and listen to what he's actually saying. And you hear the journey, you hear the pain, you hear the prophecy in it.
Yeah, say that again. I even told my children that he was a prophet now. Yeah, people don't want to hear that either. Listen, whatever.
Yeah, I know.
Listen, I'm not with that traditional stuff. People who know me.
The Lord chooses to
God is not in a box.
That's it. The Lord chooses to use who he chooses.
That's right. Who he chooses to use. You don't have no say so.
That's right.
Okay. So, I am just amazed, how God speaks. And lately here, he's done this to me quite often in my life, but recently it's just been like overload, speaking to me through lyrics of songs. And I'm like, what? It's amazing. Just this morning, I was listening. I was getting ready to watch something else, and I said, "Oh, I'm getting ready to flip." I told myself, "I'm getting ready to flip this to something else," and I flipped it to the live service of TD Jakes. As soon as I flipped it on, it was Kurt Franklin. Now, all week long, I couldn't shake this song. I even posted it on Facebook. I couldn't shake it. It's been playing in my car over and over. I've been on repeat. And it was bless me. Well, how is it that as soon as I turn the channel?
There it is. That's it.
You get what I'm saying?
I know.
So I already know what God was telling me through that. He was saying, get ready to bless his people.
Yes.
To a level you ain't even seen. Come on now. Even this book you've written.
Not prepared to receive it.
You better be ready. Be ready. I'm excited. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for me. I'm excited for all of those people who recognize, and some who do not.
Yeah.
What's happening? It's big. It's big. So, Larry, I know you got some poetry to share with us today.
I do. So this one is actually the title poem. So I want to share that with you. It's called, of course, I Ain't Never Been No Superhero. So the pressure that the Marvel Avengers feel must be something else. I mean, to have the whole world looking at you and asking for help. See, I don't even have all that on my shoulders. Just a few boulders, and they ain't heavy enough. And I used to think that was tough. But life laughed and showed my ass what being tough really means. It means paying the bills even when you ain't got no green, sacrificing your dreams for the sake of the team. And at times it may seem that you're being stuck with a knife. But if I'm being totally honest with myself, that's just life. Sometimes just the way it goes, the way the wind blows. But I ain't never been no superhero. So when the stress gets the best of me and I explode for all eyes to see, understand it's just how I feel. Cause I ain't no man of steel. And those bullets that be flying are real. So I stand still. Cause I can't move as fast as the Flash. And behind this mask, ain't no billionaire playboy. Just a lonesome soldier who's getting older and a little bit colder from watching the days of his life passing by, asking God for the strength to give it just one more try. And maybe today we won't die from being broken by harsh words that have been spoken from unkind lips. Ego trips have been known to sink ships, so not a sound do I make, even though I'm at the point that I could break. Like a wooden stake to a vampire, my empire goes up in dust, and I ask God if this is a must, because in Him I still do trust. So my eyes I do close, and I let go. But remember, I ain't never been no superhero.
Mm. So, Larry, what's the story behind that one?
So the
Title
story,
of the book.
oh, that's easy. The story behind the title of the book is this: just the expectations that we sometimes put upon ourselves, that we always, especially as men, as fathers, that we have to always have a facade of nothing bothers us, that it's never gonna break, that we can just hold everything up. And we're not trained for that.
No.
We're not trained to never fail. We can't. We're not made to never fail. So that was the title. I've never been no superhero. I don't know what to do in a situation where I'm supposed to be the superhero. So sometimes when I'm supposed to be everything to everyone, if I come up short or if I snap in the wrong time, I want you to remember that I'm not a superhero. You may perceive me that way as a husband. So as my wife, I need you to remember, I'm not a superhero. Mm-hmm. You may perceive me that as a father. So as my son, I need you to remember, I'm not a superhero. And it goes to work. As my employees, I can't fix everything at the speed that it needs to be fixed, because some things I just don't have control of. So when it falls apart, and I tell them when 70 routes and I'm splitting 11 and pulling people here and there, and I can't put all the fires out at the same time. I need you to remember that I've never been a superhero. So that was the title of it. That's where the title came from. Because I actually had a little breakdown, and I went and talked to a therapist, and she said, you have a superhero complex. You think
trying to save everybody.
You can save everybody. She said, you have to learn to save yourself. And it's okay to save yourself. It's okay to rescue you from the burning building. And that's hard. That was hard to grasp for me, because I wanted to save everyone. And you wanted to fix everything. And so you can't fix everything, and you can't save everyone. So that's where the title and the inspiration came from.
And it's okay to self-care.
Oh, yes.
It's okay, because once you take care of yourself, you will start looking at life a little differently.
Yes.
You'll feel better. It's okay to take care of yourself.
Yes. Yes. That's the thing. That self-care is so important.
It is. It is.
And it's usually the last thing we put on our list. And it's especially for good fathers and good. I get joy from the joy that my wife and son have. It brings me joy. But there's nothing wrong for having selfish joy, for doing things that reward me for just being me.
Yeah.
And I had to learn to push that to the forefront sometimes. Because there's only 24 hours in a day. There's only 7 days in the week. So you only have a limited time of self-time. So if you always sacrifice that self-time for everyone else, you're doing yourself a disservice.
You are.
You're doing
I consider myself very balanced.
Yes.
Now, when I'm at work, I go hard. I do.
Yeah.
And some of my colleagues said, what you doing now? You always work. They don't know when I get home. I'm not doing all that. And I would tell you, no, what? But I had to get to that point. I used to take a
Right.
bag home from work. I
Yeah.
don't do that either. Don't ask me. I'm not coming.
Right. Right. And
I
that's
had it was so funny. The other day I had a gentleman out front. He said, "Can I talk to you a minute about installing this?" I said, "Listen here. I just got home. I'm trying to go in my house, eat my food, and relax. You're gonna have to call me another day and give me your number. Cause
Mhm.
and I said, I'm not trying to be rude.
Right.
But when I get back to my house, I don't really want to deal with it.
You have
Not
to set you have to set boundaries. You
you
have to
do.
set boundaries. Or they don't, some of them don't mean harm. Some of them do. Some of them will just use you until you have nothing left. But most people just want to answer and they know you'll get it. But you have to set boundaries. Like, listen, I'm unavailable during this time.
They
This is
do.
this is my time. This is my family time. So I catch you first thing in the morning or shoot it to me. I tell them heartbeat. After this time, just shoot it to me in an email or a text. It'll be the first thing on my agenda in the morning.
That's right. I mean, boundaries are very important. And like, if you didn't have boundaries, would you have time to even write your poetry?
Exactly.
How you gonna be expressive, do those things that you really enjoy doing if you don't have any boundaries to say, no.
Yeah. Yeah. And
No.
I had someone put it to me this. They said, okay, so if you want to be a giver, you have to set boundaries so you can refill, so you can fill their cup up. Because you're going to be empty. So if you don't take a moment to replenish yourself, you cannot pour into others. So when I got it when I received it that way, I said, okay, so I have to stop, create these boundaries. I'm going to replenish, and then when I am full, I can pour back into you. But I can't pour into you when I have nothing to pour in you, and I'm pulled 1,000 different directions. So, like you said, we have to maintain those boundaries. We have to.
And it's funny, but I realized in my study of people, because I'm a people smart person. I just like checking people out, talking to people. But as I started looking at people in my family and outside of my family, the people who complain about they're not doing nothing for me, that you know why they doing that? Because they ain't took care of themselves.
Yeah, yeah,
If
exactly.
you take care of yourself,
I
I
do not
care
care.
less if you bring me a donut at work. Listen, they didn't give me a donut. They didn't give me a pack of pack. I don't. That's one thing
Mhm.
uh, that I have been able to do successfully on jobs. I don't get in my feelings
Mhm.
about what somebody said for me or praise me about. I will accept the accolade and I keep it moving.
That's it.
Why? Because I do some self care.
Right,
I'm not petty about if
right,
you bring me a rose or not.
right.
Because I can get my own if I want to.
There you go. There you
Okay,
go.
so I'm
You
just
better say it.
saying,
You better say it. Preach.
I appreciate the donut. I appreciate the ice cream and the roll. I do, and will accept it with gratitude.
Mhm.
However, my emotion not finna go up and down because you didn't do it.
Right.
So if you take care of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
your innermost being, spiritually, emotionally, you'll see things different.
And another thing I've learned, you have to learn to accept help.
Yeah. Oh, that's a big one.
It, it,
Yeah.
that was my, and accept that you have helped others. That was my thing. People would say, you did this at such and such time. I didn't remember, just being me.
Mm-hmm.
And by you doing that, you helped me so far along. And I'll deflect. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't take compliments well. I'll just be, but I've learned you have to allow other people to love on you sometimes
And feed into,
and
yes.
feed into you. That's
Allow it.
allow it, allow it. There's one that I have in there. It's called "No Superhero Am I," and that's the story of it. He said that he just wanted to let me know that he always considered me the big bro, and to him I was nothing short of a superhero. And in my steps, he had always tried to follow. So here are your flowers while you are still alive. And with tears flowing from both my eyes to this young man, I had to apologize because it was long ago I realized that no superhero am I. Just a stand-up guy who simply tries to survive the day. But no matter the explanations I gave, his admirations could not be swayed due to the pivotal role in his life that I played. So I was stunned as he continued to say how my words and deeds took his pain away. He said he was lost in a very dark place and knew not how he was going to escape. When one day I saw it on his face and simply asked if he was okay. That was when he started to cry. And I didn't mock him or ask him why. I just sat beside him as time passed by. And it was in that moment he no longer wanted to die. He said I told him all about my pain and the voices that fight deep inside my brain. How on some days I struggled to simply maintain, as his life was playing some cruel type of game. With help from good friends, I was no longer ashamed. And somehow I knew that he could do the same. So after the events that happened that day, I would always stop and go out of my way to speak to him or just to say, hey, making sure that he was okay. But it was what he said as he was about to leave that I struggle with and find hard to believe. He simply said, I have set him free. And no matter what the voices may say, you are a hero to me.
That's beautiful.
And that's what I've had to learn to do. We don't know at what step in the journey we've helped someone else in their journey. Just by a passing kind word or just a moment that we stopped or just a compliment that we may have gave someday. We don't know what influence that had on other people. So when they come to give us our flowers, we have to be receptive and not dismissive of it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I told you.
That's the blessing in it all.
Yes.
You know, yes. when we say, "Oh no, don't do that," don't do I used to be the same, Larry. Knowing all along, you do want that. You want
it.
And that's because God designed us to want.
There's nothing wrong with it. We're not standing on the stage. We're not screaming for it. But to have someone come and actually tell you the effect that you had on their life, that's a blessing.
It is.
That's a blessing.
And it's affirmation, you know, too, that you are in the vein of Christ.
Yes, yes.
Because if someone can come back and say, I made it through. Because and you may not know that you did it.
Yeah.
I made it through. You brighten my day. Or, you know, me being in the schoolhouse, I know a lot of unspoken language.
Right.
That children give me. When a child comes and just lays on me, I know they're saying, I appreciate you. Right. I feel it. They might not even say it, but I can feel it. You know, so people express their appreciation to you in different ways.
Right.
Keep your eyes, your ears open for that. Receive it.
Receive it.
Receive it. It's beautiful. Receive it. And also give it.
Oh, yes. Oh.
Receive it and give it.
Give the flowers while you can. Give the flowers while you can.
Give it. Now, Larry, I called you last night and I said, Larry, I said, you are closing out season 5. God already he told me, call Larry and tell him to get something ready to close you out. I said, okay, God, people don't understand. When I'm doing this podcast, it's so much deeper than what you're seeing.
Right.
I actually asked God, who do I call? And what you want me to say? What I do. So he told me, call Larry and tell him to close you out, find a poem. So Larry, I'm excited to hear, what are you about to close us out with?
This is my inspiration. It's called For Those Whose Feet Can't Touch the Ground. And it's I'll give a little background. It's just for those who were told they can't do it. You were too small. You weren't built for it. You weren't smart enough. You weren't fast enough. So this is for all those who felt like it was a 100-yard dash and everybody else started at the 50-yard line. So this is for those whose feet can't touch the ground. I never loved the sky. I mean, I love sunshine and cloudless days and the way the green trees will stretch their fingertips to infinity and beyond, and the way the stars will wink only at me and tell me that they too understand how it feels to shine so bright for so long, and yet have the light only to be seen when you're not around. I love the reflection of the moon on the lakes that quake and ripple when disturbed from its peace, only in time to have the calm return and burn a place so deep that for a moment you question if the moon is a reflection or if it's real. I love kites that dance with breezes that they first meet, hoping that this waltz would last, only to be left standing at the altar when she stops blowing kisses in his direction, then quickly falling from the sky to the hands that released it on its journey, hoping that maybe this time the small hands would run faster and pull harder on the string of his heart, allowing it to meet another breeze. I love listening to the rain, hearing God's tears wash the dirt and the stain from the pain of the earth that cling to our soul, hearing his voice in the thunder drown out the screams of the children whose mind cry out to be fed, seeing his smile in the lightning as it shows the cracks in the armor of those who sit in ivory towers proclaiming that all is well, telling those below how to climb slippery slopes and achieve what they believe to be success, spreading lies and deceit at the feet of the people who only want the truth. I love the birds in the trees who spread their wings and defy the one true law that grounds us all, as if to tell Sir Isaac Newton, you can kiss my tail because I'm as free as the wind, able to soar over mountaintops and cliffs and make my home in the clouds. That's right, the clouds encompass my being. You see, sometimes in this life, you have to look up and try to climb to the stars. I mean, hop on rocket ships and break through the atmosphere and find the peace that space brings. So, young warrior, when they tell you that you are too small and that your feet can't touch the ground, laugh. Laugh out loud. And remember, I never loved the sky.
That's going to be our point to ponder. Has anyone said you were too small? But you're big on the inside. God has given you a big mantle. You're never too small. There are no big eyes and little U's.
That's it.
So what you gonna do with that? Point to ponder. What you gonna do with what you just heard? That's the point to ponder. I'm gonna let that marinate. Yes. Larry, thank you so much for coming back and blessing us with those beautiful words. Now, how can the audience acquire one of your books?
It is
or to book you.
It is available. The book is available at Amazon.com. It's actually available at Barnes and Noble as well. So just a quick search, Larry Sheets, Sheats, or you can search it by the title. I ain't never been no superhero, and it's easy find. And if you're looking to book me for anything, you can just reach out. My information should be available with the book as well. So,
all right, y'all, go buy this book now.
I am always available. I love to read. I love to recite, and I am just here to pour into whatever needs to be poured into.
And if you're a creator, get to creating.
Yes.
Let us be the example.
Yes, yes.
What is your passion? Go for it. Go for it. Go all in. Because that is your ticket. That's your key. Go all in. Use what you've been given. Now, like I say every week, if you would like to be a part of this discussion table, you may contact me at drmarcyts@gmail.com, or you can join the Connecting Point for Creators group, of which Larry and many of us are a part of. It's just a source of contact where you can network if you want, or you get daily inspiration to keep going. Also, this show airs on Tuesdays on Instagram TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, okay? So all I ask that you do is click, like, and share so that others can be inspired. Also on Wednesday nights, you can get this on KBCN TV, Spotify, or Anchor. Same thing applies. Share it so that others can be inspired. And guess what? This concludes season 5. God knows I did not know it would get to this many seasons.
Amen.
God knows what he's doing. I'm excited about what's coming. Okay. So you will still see some content. We will repeat some things some people haven't seen, but I will see you all back in this place, this global place in July. Because guess what? I set some boundaries. God set some. And it's time to rest.
It is. There it is.
It's time to rest. Larry, thank you again. I love you, brother.
I love you, my sister.
All right. Until we have this moment again, everyone, peace and blessings. Bye-bye.